And we are going to the Health Hub Times Square in Ballincollig, where we're joined by our nutritional therapist, Anneliese Dressel. Good afternoon to you, Anneliese.
Good afternoon, Patricia.
And you had a bit of a break last week. Did you manage to get away?
I did. I went to the sun, and it just does so much for the mood, Patricia. I feel great. I really do.
It's incredible. And I think it's getting a bit of vitamin D as well, isn't it, from the sunshine?
Definitely. And it's just to get away from that dreary weather, because it gets inside in our head, and we've had a really wet one this year. Last year wasn't anywhere near as bad. Yeah. So it was just, I feel like a new woman.
Well done, well done. But because of the lack of sunshine, it is important at this time of year that we're all taking vitamin D.
Definitely. And I used to always say before, Patricia, clock change to clock change. But I do think that people are being so careful about the sun nowadays, and they're putting on a lot of high factor. And if that's the case, I think you should probably take a vitamin D all year round. Plus, because COVID has been with us really, and we do get spikes in the summertime as well, it might be worth taking a lower dose of vitamin D throughout the summer months as well.
Yeah. Can you ever take too much vitamin D?
You absolutely can. Yeah, you can. So that's why I never recommend people take the very high strength vitamin D unless they definitely know they need it. So vitamin D will increase the absorption of calcium, and eventually too much calcium can help harden the cholesterol in your arteries and and cause plaque formation. Amongst other things, it also makes the body work a bit harder to have to get rid of it. So enough is always good, but too much and too little is too bad. So I think 1,000 IUs is plenty for most people, unless they know specifically
that they
need more. Yeah.
Okay, in straight in with questions now. A couple of people are on about cholesterol, including Sheila from Mallow. So could you ask Anneliese, please, to talk about something she recommended a couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately, I missed the programme, but somebody told me about it, and a couple of others are on about lowering of cholesterol and don't want to go down the statin route, or the statin route doesn't suit them.
Okay, so what the statin does is it blocks a pathway in the liver that makes cholesterol from saturated fats. So a lot of people worry about cholesterol in food, but actually, Patricia, the problem is that we generally make too much of it in the liver. So there are natural products can do exactly the same as the statin. The best one comes from something called red rice yeast. So it's a yeast that grows on a red rice, and they harvest that yeast, and in it there's a compound that's very similar to what's in the statin drug. And that helps bring your cholesterol down very, very successfully. It's in products like Terra Nova have a red rice yeast complex. There's another company called Rice Pure that's red rice yeast. Cardio K has it. Now, we used to be able to sell it in higher strength before the Irish Medicines Board decided that we could only sell it in 3 milligrams maximum per capsule. So you may need to take a bit more if you've been used to taking the Cardio K before. But Cardio K have also put something in there called plant sterols, and these fool the body into thinking that they've already produced cholesterol in the liver. So that's what you'll get in your Flora Proactive and your Benecol. So Cardio K is a lovely combination of both. And I know there's an Irish company, Maconta, and we've been getting good feedback on their product as well. Again, that's red rice yeast on its own.
Okay, somebody's starting to have problems sleeping. Any suggestions, please?
Yeah, I think, and if you nip that in the bud, Patricia, because if sleep difficulties become a long-term, if they get ingrained, it's very hard to break it then. So there's probably a couple of different things that would work. Normally, we start people off on something called valerian. Dr. Vogel do a tincture called Dormazan, which is a combination of valerian tops. You can buy it as capsules. You can get it in different combination products. Other things that can help you sleep are things like Passiflora, lemon balm, L-theanine. We have a great supplement here by a company called NHP, Natural Health Practice NHP, and it's called Advanced Sleep Support. And that's a combination of all the ones that I've recommended with a little bit of magnesium, cherry extract, and that gets great feedback from customers. And just bear in mind that none of those natural remedies actually they don't knock you out or put you to sleep. What they do is they bring down all those stress hormones that are flying around in your body, making your brain overactive. And they just make you very nice and calm so that you can drift off naturally. There's other things that can work as well. Melatonin is very good, but you'll have to get that from your doctor, or else you can buy it over the counter if you go to Spain or any place like that. And then for some people, if they find natural remedies don't work, I say, and if it's a very short-term sleep problem, I say get the drowsy antihistamines and take a couple of those before you go to bed.
It'll knock you out in the short term. Liz says, hi Anneliese, I've been suffering from tinnitus for many years now, but particularly bad in my left ear. Any suggestions to ease what she describes as a constant pounding in her ear? God, that must be dreadful.
Awful. Yeah, it's awful, Patricia. Tinnitus could drive you crazy. You can either get a whooshing sound, some people have a buzzing or a ringing sound, and it's one of the most difficult things really to get a handle on. There used to be a supplement that some people found very, very beneficial. I think that natural supplements will only work if the tinnitus is caused by inflammation in the inner ear, and that's often post-viral. So there is a virus, a relative of the flu virus, that affects the canals of the inner ear, and you could get either vertigo or tinnitus as a result of that inflammation of those canals. So supplements that bring down inflammation could help there. There's a bacteria called Lactobacillus salivarius that's very good for the environment in the inner ear. Rosemary is a very powerful natural anti-inflammatory for the inner ear. Plantago is great if there's a lot of mucus in the inner ear. That clears that up. So they could all help, but in my own experience, a lot of it is down to hearing damage, or sometimes it might be a structural issue. I know my own tinnitus is related to my back and neck, and if my back and neck are good, I don't have it. So I go to a chiropractor called Dr. Karina Maloney, and I just went to see her this morning, and really she has just changed my life. She has done so much to get me back to feeling good again. So if you think it's a structural, I think chiropractic is the only way to go.
Okay, we'll go back to the vitamin D for a second. Listener says, Anneliese, when should you take vitamin D, and should you always take it with food?
You probably could take it any time, but I always think it's best to take things in the morning because vitamin D has a lot of different functions. The two ones we probably take it for is our immune function, and you're meeting a lot of bugs and viruses throughout the day, so you would like it to be active then, and also to absorb calcium from our food for healthy bones, and you're eating during the day. So I think taking it at night is probably you're not getting the full value. And I always say to people as well, take after food, because by taking on an empty stomach might make you feel a bit nauseous. The ones that I like here, there's loads of different vitamin Ds. Some people prefer a spray. I prefer the soft gels where vitamin D is in a little bit of oil, because vitamin D is fat soluble. So it just improves the absorption of vitamin D. So if you take it with a bit of fat in your food, so for example, if you've got full fat milk on your porridge, or a scoop of yogurt on your porridge, or if you butter on your toast, you will absorb vitamin D very well after breakfast.
Any suggestions, please, for somebody suffering with a very bad dry cough? A lot of dry coughs doing the rounds at the moment.
Yeah, and a lot of people very sick over the Christmas period and have lingering coughs. So generally what's best for dry coughs are herbs like marshmallow and mullein. The manuka honey is very good as well. I think the ones that we get good feedback on is the Winter Wellness, the Comvita Winter Wellness. Now, they used to do a mullein version and a marshmallow version that unfortunately has been discontinued. They were amazing. So we've been recommending a lot the Irish Botanica botanical syrup and having very good feedback on that. And for some people, if your throat is tickly, I think taking a throat coat spray is very good. Again, the Irish Botanica do a throat coat, and then of course Dr. Clare does a throat spray with echinacea in it. And that can be very good if you've got that dry, irritated cough when you're talking. Both of them have marshmallow in there, so it's very good to nourish those kind of inflamed and dry mucous membranes.
What would you recommend for somebody in their 30s who gets frequent sinusitis? Recently, for example, needed an antibiotic and steroids. Keeps reoccurring.
Yeah, so sinusitis is a difficult one, Patricia, really, because in my opinion, again, not medically, but my opinion, I think it's down to mostly an allergy to something. So like a lot of the time it's environmental. It could be to damp moles and things like that. For some people, if it's worse in the summertime, it's probably pollen. Could be down to animals, could be down to environmental pollutants. And then in terms of food, a lot of people who have food intolerances would find that they'll get a lot of build-up of mucus, and then that gets infected and becomes sinusitis. So what I would recommend in this case is I would recommend trying to isolate the cause, maybe do a food intolerance test, and then to manage it, the Dr. Dealish Clare Congestion Blend is fantastic to take it as a preventative or as a treatment. It's a blend of herbs that help dry up the mucus, and then using a nasal spray that help to bring down the irritation and inflammation in the nose. So we get great feedback on the Xlear, which is a xylitol spray, and also the Vogel Sinuform is another lovely spray, and Olibosoil have recently come out with a spray as well. And the two of those are probably better if you're blocked up.
Okay, can you continue, says a listener, to stay on the red rice yeast products long term?
You can, absolutely, just as statins. If you stop taking them, your cholesterol could rise up again.
Okay,
sure.
And then is there a product, is it Minimi, a product used to reduce cholesterol? Mary says it went off the market, but now it's back on the market. But there's no mention of red rice yeast in it. But it does say added plant sterols. You must take 2 a day, whereas previously you only took 1 a day. Is that still okay?
I think that's still okay. So that has probably not got the red rice yeast in there, but there's fish oils in the Minimi. They do all the fish oil supplements, and they've obviously added plant sterols into the cholesterol one. And there are actually probiotics as well that you can get that can help manage your cholesterol. But in my own experience, if it's very high, you're going to need that red rice yeast to bring it down.
Okay, have we time for one more quick one? We do. A man in his mid-50s is passing urine a lot when he's walking around, so it's like a leaking bladder. Any suggestions, please?
Okay, again, it's about trying to figure out what the cause is. Now, generally in a man, if there's a lot of dribbling, it could be down to an enlarged prostate. So that might be something that's causing it. And if the prostate enlarges, it kind of presses on the bladder. So taking saw palmetto is very good for an enlarged prostate, as is pumpkin seed extract and stinging nettle. They're all very, very good for an enlarged prostate. If it's not, if it's overactive bladder, which happens to men equally as women, the Icelandic and Angelica leaf extract is very good. It's by a company called Viridian, and for women we get great feedback on this, Patricia. So it's the Angelica leaf extract. You need to take it. The studies have shown that most people only saw a benefit on average after about 8 weeks. So you'd need to take it for 2 months before you could tell if it was working or not. And that's good for overactive bladder.
Okay, and so Louise recently was on an antibiotic and she's ended up with a bad rash on her legs, and she's linking it to the antibiotic. Can antibiotics cause rashes?
They can, Patricia, but there's 101 other things as well that can cause rashes. Even, in fact, a lot of people, if they've been sick, could actually develop a rash even from just being sick. You know, the immune system releases histamine as part of the immune response, and histamine is linked with rashes. So in this case, I would cover all the bases. I would take a natural antihistamine, maybe like stinging nettle, or you could take an antihistamine from the doctors, and I would also take a probiotic, because the gut plays a huge role in managing the histamine in your system overall. So taking a good probiotic like Udo's 8 is a very good one, or the Optibac one has got some, the Everyday Optibac has got some very good ones with strains that have been proven to reduce histamine in the gut.
Okay, listen, have a great week after your break, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks for joining us. That is Anneliese Dressel of the Health Hub, Times Square in Ballincollig. And as always, in this afternoon, if you go onto our website, healthhubstore.com, as heard on the radio, she lists out all of the products that we have been discussing today. And I know John Paul will put it up as a podcast.